globalism.
네, 그래서 지금 우리 김병준 위원장님께서 말씀하신 게 제주도 같은 경우에 중국인이 투자해서 돈은 전부 중국인들이 버는 거 아니냐, 외국 투자자가 버는 게 아니냐 이렇게 얘기했는데, 오퍼튜니티 존즈는 이런 모든 프로젝트를 디자인을 전부 다 합니다. 처음에 투자를 했을 때 커뮤니티 오너십해서 그러니까 이제 공동 소유를 하는 거예요. 이 집을 하나 지을 때 이 지역 주민하고 플러스 투자자들하고 같이 공동 소유를 해서 우리가 원하는 대로 투자를 해서 여러 새로운 일자리부터 시작해서 청년 일자리, 스타트업, 그래서 지역 사회에 혜택이 돌아가는 이런 모델로 짜드릴 수 있고 우리는 짜고 있습니다.
I was just going to make one more point in agreement with Peter into a concern you're raising. This is a cooperative approach between the national government, local governments, and individual investors, and then entrepreneurs and developers. The federal government has set the broad rules and done the most powerful thing it can do, which is tie the tax code to certain activity. To get the advantage of this program, you have to stay invested as a private investor for more than 10 years. That's a big commitment that investors need to make. What you see in most communities in the US is then the local government, to Peter's point, will create additional rules around it in order to get the approval to build. Whether you're creating housing, whether you're housing particular companies, they control how quickly you can practically make those investments. And then you're asking the entrepreneurs to relocate into these communities to grow their companies. Everybody is involved with some shared sacrifice in doing business a little differently than they did before, whether it's the government or the private sector. But the result is that everyone should benefit. Not just private investors make more money, but the local governments are able to take in more taxes because now they've got new real estate, new energy projects, new businesses that are paying to the tax base that allow you to create schools and to prevent crime and to create transportation when they didn't have any source of local tax dollars before. And investors, if they're making profits, it's because everyone else along the way has also benefited. But they are fundamentally taking more risk than we've ever asked investors to take before. And so we think it's fair, the US Congress thought it was fair, to allow them to seize that profit.
I think that your programs are really well designed. Yeah. And I'm also curious what kind of functions the local government do for this project. Today supports some kind of financial. Today give some financial support or administrative support or something.
Well, I mentioned before that the most successful opportunities on projects come from some of the worst performing cities. Those are cities that have both the best local governments, but also the strongest community. Like Erie, Pennsylvania, that was the government. That was also a local corporation. And those were people in the city who believed in what they were going to be doing. Likewise, Fresno, it was the government, but it was a bunch of young people who came up with that idea. So, and local governments can do a lot. They can contribute land, they can contribute tax breaks, people like that. But it's local governments, it's industry, and it's just people who believe in things and can go solve problems. We call those public-private partnerships.
I'll turn it over to Young-Suk in a second, but almost every state has matched the federal government in providing tax benefits for its state taxes, like the federal government had. They didn't have to do it, but they opted in to volunteer to provide those benefits. And in the US, localities, cities, and mayors control the use of land. So the approvals it takes to get the permits to build real estate projects to enable those investors. So they also have to be bought in by the program. But virtually every mayor in America is excited by this program because this is a very unique partnership where they're able to get a federal incentive and still maintain a good amount of local control over what gets built in their communities. And that's a good way to answer how do we know communities are getting what they're bargaining for. It's because they're the gatekeepers for the investment actually going in to the cities that they control.
I think that there, some kind of advisory or consultations is really important to make this project successful. I think you are.
Yeah. And look, these programs are experiments. We're all learning from each other in real time. These are network learning experiments. And the best stuff in the U.S. is where we share it. And I think you and Young Suk had the vision to invite us over and to share some of these ideas. And we're here both to share and to learn from all of you. And I'll leave you with one thought. We talk a lot about smart cities. I think the future of smart cities are experiments like these, where we're advancing the economy and we're figuring out how to prepare our people for the 21st century. And this is the frontier. We learn a lot in the United States from you about smart cities, and I think we both have this issue of growing our economies at a time of change.
예, 공동 소유 그리고 지역 주민에게 어떤 혜택이 들어가는가 짧게 설명하면 우선 IRS 미국의 그 연방 정부는 세금 감면해 준다라는 큰 룰을 정해놨고 그 다음에 땅, 토지 사용권은 전부 시도 주지사한테 있습니다. 그러므로 시도지사는 디자인할 때 지역 주민에게 어떤 혜택이 돌아가는지 그거를 아예 디자인을 해놓고 하는 거기 때문에 제주도처럼 그죠 중국 사람이 돈 다 벌어가는 그런 경우는 아니다. 지역 주민 모두가 혜택을 받는 것으로 디자인하는데 예를 들어서 학교도 만들고 또 범죄가 확 줄어들고 새로운 일자리가 나오니까 젊은 청년들이 들어오고 대학교에 더 많은 일자리 창출이 되기 때문에 학교도 좋아지고 그래서 최대 납부 지역이 정말 펜실베니아 1위 같은데 지금 잘 되고 있고요. 앞으로 피터허시버그는 스마트시티 한국에서 많이 한다고 여러분을 만났는데 플러스 거기다 오즈 지금 기회특구를 해서 디자인을 따로따로 각 지역에 맞는 이런 디자인을 했을 경우에 아주 성공할 확률이 높다라고 이야기를 하면서 우리 오즈를 제일 먼저 이거 너무나 중요하구나 우리나라에 딱 필요한 거구나 라고 보고 오늘 우리를 초청해 주신 김병준 자장님에게 감사를 드립니다.
Anyhow, I'd like to know that what happens in Erie. I was very impressed.
Yeah.
Do they have a kind of new industry?
Do you want to speak a little bit to the Erie project, and I can tell you a little more about it?
So Erie is using opportunity zones to basically turn their downtown into an innovation district. So they're one of the poorest cities in the US whose legacy is in industry, and that their big manufacturing companies left, leaving the city poor, and what they've been able to use opportunity zones to do is attract the Erie Insurance Company, which is an important local company in Erie, to anchor $50 million in Erie to build a new district that is focused on designing an industry around robotics that will create a future of economic activity that and it will enable more people to get the training and find new jobs that will turn around that local economy. And it's remarkable in that it was entirely driven from the community, from the bottom up. So this was a local insurance company, a local government, a local group of investors, and the city itself that didn't ask anyone's permission, but jumped out there and decided they were going to decide their own future, and now other capital is coming to follow.
By the way, Erie, in the United States, our postal zones are called zip codes. That's each postal zone. Erie is the poorest zip code of any American city. The poorest zip code of any city. And this is working because young people are being attracted to Erie, right? There are a number of older workers and older industries, and they don't believe in the future. But it attracted young people. It attracted many foreign people. There's just lots of people from Europe and Asia who happened to come to Erie because it was inexpensive, and they had an idea of how they might reinvent themselves. So it's so important to emphasize it's not just the government telling the city what to do. It's the people in the city rising up and thinking they have a future, the government supporting them, and then they knew what to do with opportunity zones first because they needed it.
And then they create more jobs.
Yes, so this is creating more jobs, it's attracting new industry. Importantly, remember, in opportunity zones, you don't just invest in real estate, you invest in companies. And if you're building a company and you never have to pay capital gains, that attracts capital. So they are a platform, and they're particularly good for companies that have fixed placed assets. Robots, manufacturing, energy, things where you have a plant that sits in place that can't move, and then you can depreciate it. What a good idea, no taxes.
예, 지금 가장 가난했던 미국은 집코드에서 부자 지역을 다 알 수 있는데 가장 가난했던 이 집코드를 가진 1위 지역의 도심, 완전히 그 도심이 개토같이 전혀 발전되지 않고 심각한 문제를 가지고 있는 곳인데 그곳에 지역 보험회사가 500억 원 정도를 투자를 하고 금융업체들이 들어와서 일단 투자를 하면서 오즈가 세금을 공제를 해주기 때문에 도심에 신도시를 만들고 4차 산업 도시로 만들어서 수많은 일자리, 청년 일자리 이 목적이 이 일위에 청년들이 관심을 가지고 들어오게 처음부터 한 거예요. 그래서 디자인을 해서 청년 일자리가 굉장히 많이 창출이 되어서 하는 건데 오즈의 특징은 부동산 회사들만 오는 게 아니라 기업 많은 기업들을 끌어들여 우선 4차 산업기업, 신기술 가진 기업들을 끌어들여서 그 기업에 투자를 해줍니다. 500억 이런 거를 투자를 해줘서 기업이 활성화되고 일자리 창출을 하게 되고 기업이 커지고 이런 역할을 하는 게 오즈다, 특징이다.
I think many of us are having a lunch appointment and it's time to finish up, I think. 우리 이제 약속한 시간이 거의 다 된 것 같습니다. 근데 이게 들으면 들을수록 우리가 진짜 공부해서 한번 적용해 볼 만한 저는 그리고 그 행정을 한 사람으로서 또 이 정당을 운영했던 사람으로서 보면 이거야말로 큰 하나의 국가의 이 뭐라 그럴까요? 재창조 모델로서 가능한 이야기가 아닌가 저는 굉장히 크게 지금 생각을 하고 있습니다. 전국을 이렇게 해서 민간 주도의 그 지역균형발전 내지는 또 그 지역균형발전을 통한 우리 경제발전 이것을 기할 수 있을 것이다. 물론 다 똑같이 할 수는 없습니다만 우리 나름의 특수한 상황을 반영해서 잘 이용하면은 정말 좋은 일이 있을 것 같은 예감이 지금 듭니다. 그래서 공부를 더 해야 되는데 오늘 이제 그 시간이 다 돼서 이 두 분들 말씀 듣고 저희들 마치기로 하겠습니다. Okay, I told them that we have to study more and more this project, and then we have to utilize your intelligence and ideas, and then try to apply to Korean programs of uneven development of the whole country. It's very serious these days.
It's the work in progress.
I wonder if you have any chance to look at the local areas or rural areas. We have really enormous disparities and great gaps between Seoul and the other side of Korea region.
The most important thing we learned on this trip is we have another trip to Korea coming up too. Forward.
Yes. Okay. I may recommend you to look at how the local areas are like. Yes. Okay. Yes. I ask you to make a short final comments or speech.
I think the challenges that both Peter and I have talked about are challenges that are shared in countries all around the world. We believe that these are the most important issues that countries face. Externally, maybe that's climate change. Internally, it's inequality, the speed at which our countries are changing. And even though we have different economic systems and different political systems, the core challenge to our politics and to the strength of our economies, I think, are tied to how we solve this problem, hopefully together, where the U.S. can be investors and models for what happens in Korea, and Korea can be investors and models for what happens in the U.S. I believe the Korean economic story is the most impressive story of economic growth in the world. But I also believe that Korea now is facing the types of challenges that major economies face given its new status in the economic world. And I think it has a choice. Is it going to go the direction of Japan, where growth slows, the population ages, and innovation is low? Or is it going to go another direction, new direction, maybe not following the US or Europe, where it sees growth and new business creation and a bigger part of Korea participating in the economy? I think Korea can not only do some of what the US is doing, but it can do it much better than anywhere else in the world because it's uniquely connected. The government and its companies are uniquely connected, and the trick is creating that connection with community.
And I just end by saying, this is all about a new architecture of community development. Just as we have new computer architectures, the internet is distributed, and business has sped up, this is about how do you speed up the process of economic development. How do you learn more? How do you run experiments? How do you get people excited? How do you distribute out the sense of agency and capacity and speed that up? The 20th century was about big structures, top-down, central governments. The 21st century is about these networked experiments. And you know, the American experiment's always been about federalism and lots of cities. And Korea's led in kind of rapid economic development. So this is the basis of a new form of planning and collaboration. And as Steve points out, the connection between your country and ours for this experimentation, there's no better connection possible.
예, 잠깐 한국에 이번에 와서 많은 사람들을 만나봤더니 빨리 한국에 다시 와서 김병준 위원장님하고 큰 세미나를 하고 이 법안만 해도 책이 한 권입니다. 그것을 좀 더 많이 알려야 되겠다라는 생각을 했고요. 스티브 선생님은 경제발전 또는 문제 해결 이런 것을 미국하고 한국이 협력해서 이야기를 나누면서 한국 모델을 만들 수 있겠다. 한국 모델을 만들고 지금 현재 보니까 한국도 미국처럼 지역 균형 발전이 심각한 것 같고 특히 한국의 인구 감소도 있고요. 경제 저성장 바로 이때가 우리가 만든 이 부분을 한국에 좀 알리고 한국식 모델을 만들어주는 거, 미국도 탑다운 이렇게 하다가 지금 어제 네트워킹하고 그죠 바텀업 이런 식으로 가는 것처럼 지역 발전 모델, 한국 모델을 저희가 만들고 또는 경제가 발전하는데 경제 발전을 아주 스피드업, 가속화시키는 이런 모델을 만들어 드리고 싶다고 지금 피터가 이야기하십니다.
Okay, we keep in touch.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
감사합니다. 그래서 마지막에 우리 선생님이 꽃다발 증정, 세 분의 꽃다발 증정하고 오즈에 관해서 여기 책자에 약간 있으니까 한번 봐주세요. 제가 쓴 책자였어요. 네, 감사합니다.
I think for young Suk,
Yeah. Maybe they can take it on the next one.
it looks like we're getting married.
Yeah, right. You can't bring this back to the U.S. But it's going to take a very funny photo.
reporter from Seoul.
How do you do?
여기 서울신문 기자들 오면 끄죠.
영상 있지 않습니까?
끄세요.